Matthew Stuckey here from Verity Baptist Church, Manila, just providing you with a missionary update. And so this past week we had a total of 82 salvations as a church. And during the week, my personal soul winning, I've been going through a subdivision that's kind of a bit of a richer area. So the results are a little bit down, but we're obviously trying to hit every door, and it is an area that's near our church. And so we're definitely still able to get people saved there, and I was able to get people saved in my personal soul winning there. Then on Saturdays, we had a big day at Result Park, and we had 10 of us went out, and we had a total of 49 salvations, which is great. A lot of people put in a lot of work. We put in like 5 hours of soul winning. And so the good thing about Result Park is that since it's such a packed area, you're able to kind of separate from your partner. You kind of stay close to each other, but you're also each giving the gospel at the same time. And so that's a little bit different than going door to door. And so that's an advantage to it. I will say this at Result Park, that it's not the best time of year to go soul winning there. It's obviously very hot during this time of year. There's less people that are just out and about there. And so oftentimes you're able to be selective and talk to groups of 3 and 4 and talk to people that look like they'll be more receptive. But we didn't really have that luxury. We just kind of had to talk to everyone that was there because there just weren't as many people there. So it was a little bit less receptive than we expected. Honestly, we hit a really kind of rough spell this week in terms of the areas we went. But since there were so many people laboring, we still had a lot of people saved. We had 49 salvations. And then on Sunday, we also, because last week we had our lowest Sunday results that we've had out soul winning. This week it was actually down a little bit even more in terms of souls saved, because we had a group of 10, which was kind of the group I was in a subdivision, which is a different one than I've been doing during the week, but it's also kind of a richer area, so it's not quite as receptive. I think we came back with 5 salvations from that, if I remember correctly, which isn't necessarily huge numbers for the Philippines. We also had another group that's kind of going through some kind of tougher areas as well. So where our church is located, there are a lot of good areas to go to, but there's also some areas that have more money. It's kind of like anywhere else, and obviously you have certain areas that are tougher, certain areas that are better. And when you added it all up together, though, we did have 82 salvations, so we're definitely pleased about that, and things are going well here at church. And so in terms of the sermons preached, on Wednesday, it was the last Sunday of the month, so I preached through the book of Psalms 9 and 10, praising God in the midst of enemies. And so then on Sunday, the first sermon I preached on throw down the Assyrian Empire. That was a very interesting sermon to me because I really love history when it applies to the Bible, and I never really liked history growing up, but in terms of ancient history of those empires the Bible mentions, and also just stuff as it relates to the Bible and religion, is very interesting to me. And so I've studied a lot on the Assyrian Empire. I've read a lot. I've watched documentaries and things like that. And so I was able to add a lot of history to the sermon. And it kind of gives you an idea why Jonah did not want to preach on Nineveh, because there's no question the Assyrian Empire is just the most wicked of all the empires listed in the Bible. Now, Rome does become super wicked a long time after the Bible with the Roman Catholic Church, and you look at Revelation 17 and the blood that they shed and everything like that. That is known, but in terms of in the Bible itself, Assyria is far more wicked than even Egypt or Babylon or Persia. I mean, they are just really, really wicked, okay? And you see that in the Bible, and it makes sense because basically they worshiped a god of war. And so I use that as an analogy, though, because although Assyria was very scary and very wicked, Egypt was actually more powerful at their peak, according to Nahum chapter 3. So basically I talked about, this battle that you don't want to overcome. It's the scariest battle perhaps, but it's not the toughest battle. You've already conquered Egyptian empires, and so you should be able to throw down the Assyrian Empire. So that was my Sunday morning sermon, and then the second sermon was on biblical health and diet. So it was the third part of a 5-part series, and the Bible actually talks about our health a lot, and I think a lot of times we just kind of read over verses and we don't think about it. But when verses talk about how salt is good, or it says we're the salt of the earth, it's showing you salt's a healthy thing. And so the Bible talks about all manner of things with bread, meat, fruits, and veggies. The Bible talks about all subjects, and it doesn't necessarily tell you there's this much vitamins, this much potassium, this much iron. It doesn't tell you that, but it gives you the principles on how to have a good diet. So anyways, this past week has been great, and anyways, thank you for tuning in, and continue to pray for our ministry. Thank you, and God bless.